There's a generation that looks calm, functional, productive. They show up to work. They answer messages. They meet deadlines. They smile in photos. But underneath the surface, many of them are exhausted. Not physically, mentally. This is the generation of silent anxiety. And the most dangerous part about it is that almost no one notices. Unlike visible breakdowns, silent anxiety hides behind performance. It hides behind responsibility. Behind, I'm fine. Behind, I'll handle it. It lives in people who appear stable. But stability does not mean peace. For many young adults and professionals today, anxiety is not dramatic. It is constant, low-grade, persistent, quiet. Silent anxiety doesn't always look like panic attacks. Sometimes it looks like overthinking every decision, replaying conversations at night, analyzing tone and messages, feeling guilty while resting, constant fear of falling behind. It's waking up already mentally tired. It's checking your phone before your feet touch the ground. It's feeling pressure without knowing exactly why. Psychologically, this happens when the nervous system stays in a prolonged state of alertness, not extreme alarm, not crisis mode, but never fully relaxed. The body adapts to stimulation as if it were normal. Over time, tension becomes baseline. This generation grew up in an environment of constant comparison, economic uncertainty, career instability, social media exposure, and global crises. They witnessed recessions, pandemics, cultural polarization, and rapid technological change. Stability has often felt temporary. Predictability has felt fragile. They were told they must succeed, build something meaningful, become financially independent, be emotionally intelligent, stay relevant, and maintain a personal brand, all at once, and preferably before 30. Expectations multiplied faster than coping strategies. Productivity slowly became identity. Rest started to feel like laziness. Slowing down started to feel dangerous. When your value becomes tied to output, your nervous system never truly rests. Even during downtime, the brain keeps scanning. What should I be doing? What am I missing? What if I fall behind? That constant mental background noise becomes normal. And when anxiety becomes normal, it becomes invisible. Previous generations compared themselves to neighbors or co-workers. This generation compares itself to the entire world. Every scroll becomes a reminder of someone who seems more successful, more attractive, more disciplined, more ahead in life. Engagement metrics quietly become measures of worth. Even when we know it's curated, even when we know it's filtered, repetition still affects perception. The brain is wired to detect social ranking. It evolved in small tribes, not global networks. When comparison becomes global and constant, the brain interprets it as competition. Competition activates alertness. Alertness sustained over time becomes anxiety. One of the most misunderstood aspects of silent anxiety is that it often creates high achievers. People with silent anxiety meet deadlines early. They overprepare. They double-check everything. They anticipate problems before they happen. They are reliable, responsible, driven. From the outside, they look disciplined and ambitious. From the inside, they feel like they are never enough. Their motivation is often fear-based. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of instability, fear of becoming irrelevant. Anxiety becomes fuel. And when anxiety becomes fuel, stopping feels unsafe. If productivity keeps the fear quiet, then slowing down feels like removing the only shield. Another hidden layer of silent anxiety is the pressure to constantly optimize yourself. This generation was raised in the era of self-improvement culture. Podcasts about productivity, videos about morning routines, advice on financial independence, fitness tracking, goal setting, personal branding. Everything can be measured. Everything can be improved. And while growth is healthy, the constant message that you should always be improving can quietly create the feeling that who you are right now is never enough. When self-worth becomes tied to constant optimization, rest feels like regression. Ordinary days feel unproductive. Stillness feels unambitious. Over time, this creates internal tension, a voice that whispers, "You could be doing more." Even joy becomes evaluated. Even hobbies become monetized. Even free time becomes strategic. That mental pressure, doesn't scream. It hums in the background. Chronic low-level anxiety affects the body in subtle ways. Sleep becomes lighter. Shoulders stay tense. Jaw tightens unconsciously. Irritability increases. Concentration becomes fragmented. Emotional fatigue builds slowly. Decision-making becomes heavier, but because nothing dramatic is happening, it's easy to dismiss. Burnout does not usually explode. It erodes. It accumulates through years of silent overextension, through constantly being available, through rarely feeling finished, through never fully disconnecting. For many people in this generation, the real fear is not failure. It's stopping, because stopping means facing uncertainty. Stopping means sitting with unprocessed thoughts. When you've lived in constant stimulation, silence can feel uncomfortable. Rest can feel unfamiliar. Slowing down can feel like losing control. Another important factor is uncertainty about the future. Many were told that education guarantees stability, that hard work guarantees success, that planning guarantees security. But reality has often contradicted that promise. Housing prices rise. Job markets shift. Technology replaces roles. Entire industries transform in a few years. When the future feels unpredictable, the mind compensates by trying to control everything in the present, planning more, thinking more, preparing more, and that constant mental preparation can turn into chronic worry. Silent anxiety is often an attempt to feel prepared in a world that feels unstable. And yet, beneath all this tension, there is resilience. There is awareness. There is a desire to understand emotions rather than suppress them. There is courage in acknowledging internal struggle instead of pretending it doesn't exist. Maybe this isn't a weak generation. Maybe it's a hyper-aware one. Maybe silent anxiety is the cost of growing up in a world that never powers down. But awareness also creates opportunity. The same generation that struggles with anxiety is also the generation that talks openly about therapy, questions toxic work culture, values boundaries, and seeks meaning instead of just status. If you often feel calm on the outside but overwhelmed on the inside, you are not alone. If you appear capable but feel constantly on edge, you are not broken. Sometimes what feels like a personal flaw is actually environmental pressure. Sometimes what feels like inadequacy is prolonged adaptation to unrealistic pace. Awareness is not weakness. Recognizing anxiety is not fragility. Naming internal tension is the first step toward regulating it. Do you relate to this idea of silent anxiety? Or do you see it in someone close to you? What part resonated the most? Share your perspective in the comments. I genuinely want to read your thoughts. If you enjoy understanding human behavior and generational psychology in a reflective and balanced way, subscribe to the channel. Every week we explore subtle psychological patterns that shape who we are and how we relate to the world around us. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next generational analysis, because some struggles are loud, but others are silent, and those deserve understanding too. See you in the next video.